Guy, we want to get into this. What do you think, Jay?
We got, you know what? We got 100 something people in here. You know, as Matty Forge says, without further ado, let's just do it. Mr. David Nakayama, everybody.
Aloha from Hawaii. Hi, everybody.
And let's start off with that. I know the view is much better over there than it is over here, David. So sorry that you got to look at our faces. But you know what? How's the weather, man?
It's not bad. And I am so happy to be with you guys. The internet here, this connection is hanging on for dear life, but I will stay with you as long as I can. It's a a warm day here, and I live kind of in a rainforest, so it's also like simultaneously rainy, something that kind of only happens to me in Hawaii. But you guys should all come out and visit. We're having a great time here in Honolulu.
Don't tell the butcher that. He'll pack his bags and leave tomorrow.
You got a comfortable couch, David?
I don't think he meant Stump to come to his house.
Next thing you know, JB knocking at the door. David will be like, I was joking. I don't know if you have
too
room over
soon,
there,
too
Dave.
quickly.
Yeah.
I didn't get to prepare my luau for you.
He's like, I just met you, Jay. Sorry. No, David, thank you for coming on. We're gonna just get into some questions because I know the Defects are excited to have you here, and I'm sure they're gonna start typing some messages in there to ask you too. So we'll keep an eye on the chat. But obviously, we jumped right into it right away. You're located in Hawaii. You're working on stuff for Marvel, Dynamite, Hasbro. I mean, you're jam packed with stuff like our show tonight. So with all there in Hawaii, with all let's just call it what it is. With all the eye candy, obviously in Hawaii, how the heck you get any work done, man?
I never leave my house and I never see my family.
Oh no,
that's how I pull it up.
I hope not.
I kid a little bit, but I don't know, man. I'm 43. I've been trying to get this going for a long time, and it's kind of like when cool opportunities come, you feel like you got to take it, like you've been waiting 25 years for the opportunity to come sometimes. So how can I say no, right? If someone says, hey, do you want to do Red Sonja? Hey, do you want to do Spider-Gwen? Yeah, I definitely do. So I'm trying to strike while the iron's hot.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that, man. And I played a little bit and said all the eye candy, but let's just talk about your artwork for a couple seconds. And to put it lightly, you have a way with the ladies, man. Let me tell you.
Like
I know Matt's putting it up there, so showing. Yeah, I think so, man. Who's been your favorite to draw? Let's ask that.
Favorite characters? Gosh, it's tough, but
favorite lady right now.
Favorite lady.
Favorite lady. I mean, it's you can never go wrong with Rogue. You have a good choice up there.
Nice.
I never say no to any of the X-ladies. Comics for X-Men. I was heavily influenced by people like Jim Lee and J. Scott Campbell and Adam Hughes, and I guess my fandom is just right there with those 90s comics, X-Men being the start of it. So I always go to Rogue or Emma Frost or Jean Grey or Storm. There's just so many good choices on that team.
I love it, man. I love it. And obviously, you big inspiration. I'm just going to ask you too. Jim Lee, I'm sure, was a big inspiration for you. I know that. So, huge fan of his as well.
That's definitely true. I can elaborate a little bit. I've said it on many places before, but the whole reason I even read comics is because I saw those uncanny issues, and I at the very specific moment, I also wanted to become a comic book artist. It all happened very quickly. I was like a kid who liked art, just looking for a place to invest that love. Was it going to be animation or comic strips or whatever? When I saw comics, that was it. Haven't really looked back.
So, Dave, you talked about your break. Could you tell us how that came about?
Whoops, lost the second half of that question. Can I tell you about what?
Yeah, Jay.
Sorry?
I was going to say, David, you were talking about, you were an artist and waiting for your break to break into the comic book industry. Can you tell us how that happened?
how did I break in? Oh, okay, yes. Every artist has an excellent, weird, unique how did I break in story. Mine was I won a magazine contest. You guys might remember Wizard. Guide to Comics.
Yep. Yeah.
They had
Yep.
Pretty big deal for a lot of us growing up in a certain age for a long time, for many years, basically before the internet took over. They had a contest where, Top Cow would do internships, once a year. They'd try to bring in a new crop of talent. And this after, having classes, if you want to call it, including, Michael Turner was, and guys around him, and then Dave Finch, guys around him. And then after that, there was a class, if you want to call it that, with Tyler Kirkham and Mike Choi and Eric Basildua and myself. We were all in the studio at the same time, being interns, learning from Mark Silvestri himself. It was too good to be true. Like when that became possible through the magazine contest, I jumped at it. It still took a while to get the skills to, do covers or even be a monthly artist, but that was how I first got my foot in the door.
That was the Top Cow, right?
Yeah, through Top Cow Productions over in LA.
That's awesome. I know obviously we're concentrating on some women, but here's the question too: man or woman, who are you just like dying to draw next? Who are you like fiending to draw?
Who am I dying to draw next? Oh gosh, that's a tough question. I don't know. It's kind of like I have this. I'm really fortunate. I have editors who know me, and we've worked together a long time. And it kind of just depends on what they want to drop in my lap. And sometimes they'll just be like, "Hey, do you want to do this?" And I would have never thought of that, but then I'll be like, "Yeah, that sounds amazing. I would love to draw that." So, case in point, you got Ren, Star Wars Ren, right there. Wasn't on my radar really, but then when I heard that they were exploring Kylo's backstory in the comics, I'm like, yes, this looks amazing. I would love to do this, and I had the best time with it. So I'm kind of just open. If it's part of a big IP, whether the Marvel universe, DC universe, Star Wars, whatever, video games, I like all that stuff. And being a freelancer, I get to say yes to whatever I like. Thank goodness.
And thank God you drew that Knights of Ren cover, because that is absolutely fantastic. I mean, unreal.
Thank you.
And the way you said it, that it wasn't on your radar, but you're like, hell yeah. And look what turned out. I mean, that's a testament to just like, hey, I could change gears real quick and whip this out. And that was fantastic. I mean, really, really beautiful.
What's funny is the background to it. Like you don't. Unless you're looking for it, all of a sudden you see all those guys in the background like pop.
Yeah,
like it's absolutely ridiculous. Because I didn't catch it at first.
Thank you.
And then I'm looking more and more, and I'm like, wait a minute, what? Like, sick. David, here's a question.
Those Knights of Ren, they all have completely unique designs. So that was some effort to put that in there. But I didn't feel like I could have Ren without the Knights of Ren,
Yep.
No, you killed it, man. You killed it. You mentioned Unknown Comics. I know you've been doing a bunch of store exclusives for them. How did that relationship start with them? And how did the Defects get in on this exclusive stuff? But you can answer that later.
All you got to do is you go to the company, you get that license, and then they offer to me. So it's pretty much just up to whatever store wants to do it. I've at this point been fortunate to work with many stores.
We got a super chat here. Thank you. We got issues. Age of X-Men Apocalypse and the X-Tracks #1, David Nakayama. 1 in 50 is amazing. Great work, Mr. Nakayama. So thank you for that super chat. We got issues.
Thank you.
Guy Forge.
Yeah, that
keep it rolling.
I'm gonna keep it rolling.
It's like extremely rare. I'm just taking that out early because of the echo, but I love when people post their shots of that particular issue. It's so hard to find apparently online. It was under ordered in the day, and I guess it turned out okay. So thank you for all you guys who are hunting that one.
There you go.
I know you were dealing with technical difficulties, but we were talking about like the serial issues that like I'm absolutely in love with, all of those that you did. Like all like the symbiotes and like all that stuff, and like I mean, did you come up with that? Like the actual idea of it, or like did they tell you what to draw? Like what was behind that?
Sure. So the store came to me with that idea. They had a thumbnail and everything, pretty much ready to go. They even had whole brain. That was all in there.
Nice.
In my awesome. Thumbnail. And my job was basically just to bring it to, fruition, with it. Right? Like put in as much funny detail as I could also add to it. And as we went on, I added more and more of the jokes. And if you guys are familiar with the Batman ones we did later, those were mostly my jokes. So I guess it's up to you to decide who had the better jokes. But if you like Batman ones, that was me.
The Harley Quinn one too?
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. I appreciate those. I love the comedic part of it. So that's great. That's great to see.
I love the funny ones.
So here, just rolling right along. You're currently working on Red Sonja. Your Instagram said that you want to do like more mainstream titles. What did you mean by like more mainstream? Like what specifically were you talking about?
What did I say? I guess what I mean is, a lot of people know me from, retailer variants, maybe some odd variants here and there. And what I wanted to do is just become more accessible to people, like have more main covers that you can buy with, just $3.99 rather than like the $20 issues all the time. I like a mix. I just want to be as approachable and easy to find for an average collector as possible. It's mainly my goal this year, I guess.
Nice.
So speaking of goals, you went to Abu Dhabi for East Comic Con. How like that? that must have been like out of control. And here, 2-part question with that follow up. Because yeah. I know the defects are gonna want to know after you talk about Abu Dhabi, where can we find you coming to the new cons now that the new con season started? Where are you going to be visiting?
Great question. I'll answer without these things. So Abu Dhabi was just a cool opportunity. Like I'm a Hawaii boy. I like to trout, and you get the opportunity to go that far afield. It's literally 24 hours, for me to get there. Wow. And I jumped at the chance, and it turned out it was a really interesting trip. Like if you ever get the chance to go, I highly recommend it. It's kind of like Vegas if it was like a high rise, but any of the sleeves. If that makes any sense.
Count me out.
Sorry, Jay's not coming.
The schedule for the rest of the year is going to be first we got a signing in Texas next week. Then it's going to be MegaCon. Then it's going to be C2E2, and then also New York Comic Con in the mix too. I definitely wanted to return to C2E2 and New York. Those are shows I try never to miss. So hopefully we're going to make that happen this year. Finally, after COVID finally is going to let us have that chance,
Well, I know nice. I know a lot of the defects are going to be happy to see you in New York. Let's just put it that way.
Yep.
So let's change direction just for a second. Let's talk about toys. Okay, this is where it gets fun.
All right.
And Maddie's gonna put up some stuff. Hasbro released your box art for their new Marvel figures. You did art for, we have it up here, U.S. Agent and Blue Marvel. So this is a 2-part question, then you can take the headphones off because that's what we're going to do now. How did you come up with the way you were going to draw the character? Like, this is what you were going to do, or they told you? 1, and 2. Maddie always says that Marvel doesn't make mistakes and they always do things for a reason. Why Blue Marvel now? Why? Come on, Dave.
Okay.
Come on. Give us a little inside information.
So the answer to the first question is I'm always very happy to do whatever they assign. I am a hardcore Marvel fan. If they want to assign me D-Man or Slapstick, I'm going to do it. Like that's fun for me. I like those characters. We recently did Sleepwalker and Despair, for example. These are deep cuts, but I really enjoy that. I love these characters. So if they want to offer me, Marvel and U.S. Agent, I think these are actually pretty solid characters I like, who are kind of a big deal in the Marvel universe, and was very happy to do them. And then, does it have any Like, is there a hint or a portent there about what's coming? Nope, not at all. I don't think Hasbro talks to them too much about their upcoming plans. I don't really think that's a thing. I think it's just kind of Hasbro's going through the list of the 3,000 or whatever Marvel characters there are and trying to get to the ones they haven't, already. Now, but that said, like, if a new movie's coming out, then of course there's going to be a line of movie figures. But in terms of like the like the deep Marvel Universe cuts, I think that's kind of just who they want to fill in the gaps for,
You didn't just get a text.
I saw the wink,
Kevin
David.
Feige,
it's all right.
right?
You don't have to say it out loud, but we know what's happening. It's okay. Blue Marvel's coming. It's okay. You don't have to say it.
He should totally be in Doctor Strange.
There you go. You heard it here, folks.
That's it. That's it. Interview is over. David Feige just texted David. So you know what? It's Kevin Feige. Sorry, what did I say? David Feige? Yeah, that doesn't work. Anyway, Maddie, did you have something? I know I have a couple more questions, but I know you said you had something about some of the games.
I did. So we're on not comic books, but still comic art, right? And I know you're a little bit of a gamer. So you want to talk a little bit about Alloy here on the Play magazine cover for Horizon Forbidden West. Tell us about, like, is it a different process when you're doing a comic book? And I know, and again, I'm sure this was cool for you because you're a little bit of a gamer yourself. So,
sure, I'd love to talk about this. I've for the last few years, maybe since 2017, maybe 2018. Official PlayStation Magazine UK, which is now known as Play Magazine, will have me come out for some special edition covers, for previewing the next year's crop of games. So sometimes you can look back at the previous ones, and it's hilarious. Well, cover because they didn't come out like for 2 more years, but it's still fun to preview the characters. And you're right, I really do like games. I actually spent 12 years in a little bit of a career detour through video games. And so any chance I get now to freelance and do these popular game characters, that's just pure joy for me. I've said many times that Horizon Zero Dawn is my favorite game of all time. I just think it's a fantastic, perfect game. So yeah, as soon as they said Aloy, I was in. No matter what else was part of the project, I was going to go for it. It also happened to include fantastic choices like God of War and Dead Space and Ghost of Tsushima. I'm sorry, Tokyo Ghostwire, which just launched like yesterday. So this year's crop was nothing but winners. And I can't wait to play the sequel, by the way, for Horizon. If it's anything like the first one, I'll love it.
Nice.
I'll be playing that in like 12 years when I'm done with Elden Ring.
They take forever.
I'm still playing Zelda Ocarina of Time. So. I'm kidding.
Graduate to Breath of the Wild. It's the best.
All right, you got it.
There you go.
So here's. I just want to ask you about it because I'm a huge. I had the theory of one time in my life when I was reading Jim Lee's comic books that I was going to be a comic book artist too, and then that fell kind of short. I did go to college for art and I did graphics and stuff. So the way you do stuff is just so intriguing. I just want you to take a minute and, if you don't mind, talk about your drawing process, because I know is it all digital? And do you use models?
Not always.
Do you use other things like for reference? Do you use models? Like what's your process?
Sure. So it depends on the piece. Sometimes I'll start a piece traditionally. I'll act with a pencil and ink on a board, and then I'll scan it in and sort of polish the colors in Photoshop. Sometimes I'll do the entire thing soup to nuts in Photoshop. So it really just varies. Sometimes it's purely about like, is this a cool opportunity to make a cover that the collectors will want to buy? That's part of the business that we're in, and so I got to think about that. If I get a Carnage #1, that might be a good choice, to do an original for. The other part of your question was like, do I use resin? And I would say absolutely. I think you not to. Unless you're doing like a very cartoony style where it doesn't matter. But if you're trying to do anything realistic, it's kind of like shooting yourself in the foot to not have it. Like drawing hands are hard, so I look at a mirror to see my own hands. Or if I need to draw, a very fit and beautiful person, then I'm going to check out reference, right? Like I have folders full of arms and legs and whatever from different angles, and I can always rely on that when it's, when I need to put that character together. Now, the problem is there's no way I'm going to have a picture for every. Oh, looks like you want to interject. Go for it.
Sorry. Yeah, no, I had to ask you a question because you said you look at arms and whatever, or you could just walk to the beach and go see the women on the beach and then reference, right?
That wouldn't be creepy at all.
No,
I've noticed it.
From afar.
Yeah, from
Yeah, the binoculars will make it less creepy.
Yeah. No, nobody will notice. Oh God.
No, fortunately we have Instagram. There's plenty of
that's right. That's right.
bodybuilders and that kind of thing. That comes in real handy.
Well, no, a lot of your stuff, again, like I said, that's why I asked, because a lot of your stuff, when you get into the details of it, when you're for instance, it pops up in my head, like when that one Wolverine from the side where his arms and he has the veins and stuff like that, you get really, really into detail. Obviously, you got to be referencing something, because one of my art teachers from elementary school always told me, draw what you see, not what you know.
That's right. That's the best advice. So I think you have to be able to invent most of the figure on your own, be able to construct it with cylinders and all that kind of stuff. If you really want to capture that realistic detail, it's going to require some reference. And then also the reference is never going to be perfect, and you can't be a slave to it. The artwork will get really stiff and weird. So you have to sort of infer from the reference where things are supposed to be and match it up to the character that you constructed to keep things fluid. That's sort of the art of it, like taking this as a reference but not being beholden to it too much, if that makes sense.
100%. I'm gonna see if these guys have anything else, but I'm gonna finish this off with one question that actually someone from the community reached out to me and asked me to ask you. So this is actually really cool. One of our followers, one of our Defects, he's an artist himself. His name is Soul Twice on Instagram. He reached out to me, asked me to ask you this. You do a lot of color bleed, right? That's what it's called. So
yeah, that's what I call it.
And you can reference what that is, obviously, after I ask the question and explain to people. But other artists that we know of in the community, doing negative space variants and stuff like that, you do color bleed. So why do you choose that way? And then what is your process when you do that? How do you create that? And that's by Soul Twice. Right. That's his question.
An excellent question. I've never been asked that. I'm very happy to answer it here. So negative space has sort of been a trend. You see artists doing it here and there in comic book covers for a long time, and sometimes they're really cool. I really like it. But the problem with negative space is that, let's say you're doing a yellow background cover and it's cycling, his gloves are yellow, so now his hands disappear. That's a problem. It becomes really weird looking. And I mean, there's always going to be a little bit of that weirdness in a negative space cover. If you've picked the exact right character with the exact right thing, it can work out. But the reason I do negative space is because you can kind of get all the good stuff. I'm sorry. The reason I do color bleed is because you can get all the coolness of the interior costume color bleeding out to the background color, but not lose an understanding of what you're looking at. I've seen Frank Cho do this sort of technique before. I'm sure other artists do as well. Golden Age illustrators certainly got to it way before I did. I call it color bleed, but it's an existing technique. It's just like the cousin of a negative space. I just think it has all the positives and none of the negatives. And then I'll give you a second to reply back, and then maybe I'll answer the second part.
Yeah, no, I love that, and I love how you said it has some more of the positives than the negatives. without maybe that pun that you meant to do or you did mean to do it. But that I like that.
Without the negatives. Yeah, right. I totally intended that. The way I approach it is I'll just draw it as normal, but I'm kind of keeping an eye toward, what is the color of the suit versus that's going to become the background color, trying to think ahead to what's going to sort of sit back and what's going to jump forward. And typically that gets rendered. It's going to be that part that's going to pop, and that works every time, which is why color bleed works pretty much every time. The way I'll actually draw it sometimes is I'll separate the rendered part of the drawing into its own layer in Photoshop, and I'll separate just the parts that are lines into lines that are transparent behind them, so that the color I choose can be manipulated along the way. That's the theory. That's how I try to approach it. Sometimes I have to, make adjustments along the way. That's how I, stack it in Photoshop. Those two different things.
Nice.
Have you ever done a live feed? Because I don't think I've seen one, like a live feed of you drawing something, like streaming it, like where people can on Instagram or something.
Well, the closest I got was I tried for a little while to do the YouTube thing. I would, use software to record the drawing process, and I'd put it up on YouTube and see if anyone wanted to watch the time lapse. And kind of no one wanted to see it, so I just stopped doing it. It wasn't really worth the effort. It's sort of a pain in the butt to make all the recordings and stitch them together, and add the sound and all that stuff. So for me, it wasn't really a good use of my time. But I get it. I mean, like, you guys know better than anybody, it takes time to build an audience. If I wanted to return to YouTube and really make a go of it, I could do a voiceover thing. Maybe I'd do it on Patreon and charge for it. I don't know. It's a future thing I might think about. But for now, I'm just really enjoying drawing the covers themselves, and I'll pretty much stick to that. The follow-up question might be, well, how does anyone ever get to see how you do it? Well, fortunately, I do have those free streams that I put out there. And also, there's an article in a recent ImagineFX magazine, which is the leading digital art magazine, where I go through it step by step with words. There's video, there's brushes on the disc. That would be the best resource, for someone who wants to see exactly how I do things. That's where I would point you. I don't remember the issue off the top of my head, but ImagineFX, the issue I did, it has a Josh Swaby cover with Harley Quinn, and then I'm a feature article on the inside.
That's awesome, and I know people are going to start to look that up, because I think knowing the process and seeing like from start to finish how it's done. And I think I'm going to be honest. I think you should try Instagram. You have like 99,000 followers. If you went live and just started drawing something on Instagram, I think people are going to watch it, David. Okay, just throwing it out there.
There you go.
We'll see what happens. There's so many cool things to work on. It's just about time.
Yeah,
the time is for sure.
I agree. So. But you know what? Listen, we appreciate you taking the time to come and sit with us. Your time is valuable. I know that. I know your family, work takes you away. So we took you away for a little while. We apologize, but I think the Defects had a great time. We had a lot of fun. Anything you want to plug before you get out of here? Anything you're working on now that you want to send the Defects over to see?
Sure. Wow. So right now, the thing I'm really the most excited about is kind of what we were talking about before, is, making covers more readily available to a wider audience. And so we've just got the first issue of Gwenverse dropped like 2 weeks ago. Means the second one's going to be coming out very soon. And I've just the other day finished the fifth one, which means I'm done. I've finished my run of 5 issues
Nice.
Covers. I couldn't be more excited about that series. So I hope people will continue picking that up. That's going to be in stores right now. And hot on the heels of that is Red Sonja. I've just finished the 4th of 5 of those. And that first issue should be coming out very soon. I think it's next week or the week after. It's called Red Sonja Immortal. And what's neat about it is it brings back her outfit from the first issue. the Barry Windsor Smith outfit where she's got like the full chainmail shirt.
Yep.
You know, if Spider-Man can have 3,000 outfits, I think Red Sonja can have 2. So that's what I've been saying, and
Sure.
I hope people enjoy it. I still think it looks sexy as hell, so I don't think it takes anything away from that. So anyway, hope you guys enjoy those new series, and I hope to be offered many more this year. We'll see what happens. And in the meantime, there's so much cool variant and retailer exclusives that I can't wait to share. And of course, there's also my brand new davidnakayama.com store page that we just opened, where I'll be making signed copies available for people. So thank you guys so much for the support, and I hope you guys will check that out.
Well, hey man, Jay, you want to say anything before we get out of here?
David, thanks for coming on, dude. Like they said, thanks for taking out time from your family, and you're a busy guy. It must be incredible to be that kid in the 90s looking at McFarlane and J. Scott Campbell and all that stuff, and now you're that guy, man. So God bless. I hope you come back on, and we're looking forward to all your future endeavors.
You're very kind. It was really my honor to be on the show with you. Thank you so much for the invite, and thank you for everyone who's listening. I appreciate it so much, and you're way generous to say I'm in there with those 90s guys. They're legends. I'm just trying to climb that mountain, get as close as I can, you know?
Love it.
David, keep killing it. Keep doing what you're doing, man. You have a huge following, but the talent speaks for itself. So keep doing what you're doing. We love it.
Thank you, David.
Appreciate it, guys.
We'll catch you again soon. I'll definitely message you to follow this up, and we appreciate you coming.
Anytime. I'll log off now before the internet makes me, but appreciate it. Talk to you guys next time.
Thanks, bud.
Thanks, bud.
Thanks,
Talk
David.
to you soon.
Bye-bye.
That was sick,
David
guys.
Nakayama.
Come on,
ladies and
Defects.
gentlemen.
That's it.
Ooh.
Support this man. He's fantastic. He does really,
I gotta
really
say,
fantastic art.
my favorite cover has to be that Black Panther #1, dude. He absolutely knocked it out of the park.
You got to see that this Red Sonja that's coming out when she's standing there with the sword, like the side view, is absolutely bonkers, bro. But I love his Wonder Woman. I hope he's watching. I'm gonna text him again. But his Wonder Woman that he did was absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy.